feeding your body with right food. And we could say feeding your mental body with the right food, your emotional body with the right food. The physical body, the mind, and the astral body, the body of the emotions, are vehicles through which we express, we live, we go through experiences, and we grow, because we draw lessons from those experiences, and lesson after lesson we grow in wisdom and love. So we have to take care of those tools, of those vehicles, the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body. This is what it's all about.
Hello, I'm your host, David Minot II, for another episode of Planetary Makeover, creating a world that works for everyone. And on this show, you'll be seeing an episode from a podcast we used to work on entitled Share-on-the-Air Radio. And the host, Diana Gold-Holland, will be interviewing guest Bernard Clavière, who is an advocate of fasting, and he'll explain to us how beneficial that is. Bernard is from France and went on his own long spiritual journey before he came to these conclusions. And he'll demonstrate how fasting is beneficial to us, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, even spiritually, and how it helps us all discover where we came from, why we're here, and where we're going. This also includes the ageless wisdom teaching, that ancient body of knowledge we often discuss on the show, that Bernard studied as well, and the teachings more recently of the world teacher, whom we also mention frequently. And Bernard will demonstrate how something as simple as fasting helps us discover our own divinity, which is part of the goal of life. And then he will talk about his business, in which the common good is his goal and not just making money, and that his employees are paid better and share more in the profits than in ordinary businesses today, and that we see his business practices as the wave of the future. He'll also mention the importance of the prayer for the new age, which I'd like to recite to you. We hope you enjoy the show and look into the subject of fasting for yourself.
Calling you from sunny today, Vancouver, BC, although our theme for today is conscious entrepreneurship. But before we get down to that, let me, as usual, for our new listeners, and we welcome you especially, for our new listeners, let me give the premises of our show right away. First of all, that we are not alone as humanity. We never have been, but soon it will be very, very clear that we definitely are not alone. At this time of great upheaval and tumult and transition here on the planet, we have in our midst, emerging now, a group of very advanced teachers who are called the Masters of Wisdom, perfected beings who are omniscient, who have gone ahead of us and gained control over all of their senses, the physical realities, who are master scientists, who are, in fact, masters of wisdom, in line with the plan for this planet at this time. At their head stands the Lord Maitreya, and I will spell that for you, Maitreya. It is a Buddhist name, meaning the happy one or the compassionate one. And it is the name used by the Buddhists to speak of their expected teacher, who was foretold by Gautama Buddha himself some 2,000 years ago and more, to be coming. He said a great Buddha like himself would come at a time of very great darkness in the world to help illumine the path forward. So this, of course, is the role of Maitreya. He is called in modern parlance the world teacher for the coming age, the age of Aquarius now dawning. But he is also known by various names by all of the great religions who they too expect their teacher. So he is known as the Christ for the Christians. He is known as the Messiah for the Jews, the Imam Mahdi for the Muslim faith, etc., etc. And so he represents the power and the Christ consciousness, the power of love, embodying this divine aspect of the Godhead at this time on earth, and stands at the head of these great teachers to help guide us forward. We will be talking today as part of our discussion with my guest a bit about Sai Baba, who many of you will know of. He has gone beyond. He has transitioned now. But Sai Baba was a great spiritual avatar living in southern India and had many, many devotees. He had one of the tightest connections with the Godhead, and he and Maitreya work side by side relentlessly, day by day, in, of course, the spiritual and etheric realms. So Sai Baba is this great teacher. Again, I will spell this for you, Saibaba, revered literally by thousands and thousands of people in the Eastern world. So you may want to check that out as well. All of this you can find out about on the website share-international.org. That's share, S-H-A-R-E, as in sharing. And it is also the root of our information here on the program. So those are our premises. I invite you to sit back now and enjoy my interview with my guest today, who is Bernard Clavière. He is a French fasting advocate and the author of a very successful book on fasting, whose title translates roughly as What If We Quit Eating from Time to Time? It's the title of his book. Not often do you see book titles as questions, but this was a very good one. What if we quit eating from time to time? Bernard maintains that as a society, we're living to a great extent under a form of collective hypnotism today, and he encourages people to wake up and take responsibility for managing their life, their emotions, and of course, their health. Starting out as a sickly child, he vowed at the age of 18 that he would get healthy using natural products and practices, not drugs and medicine, and that he would never see a doctor again. To accomplish this, he completely changed his way of living and, as he says, his relationship with others and with the universe itself. And he has not seen a doctor since. So with my it's a great pleasure. Bernard, bienvenue sur l'émission. Welcome to our show. And
hello,
why
Diana.
Don't you start? Hi. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about yourself and your journey?
Oh my, that's a long story. I mean, it looks like from a very early age. I mean, I am now 63. From a very early age, it's amazing. But when I was going to church, because in the village where I was living, all the kids were going to church on Sunday. You see, and I've always had a very special relationship with Jesus. I mean, Jesus was my friend, and I would talk to him, and I had no idea who Jesus was really, but it's something beyond explanation. And when I grew up, when I was a student, I was initiated into transcendental meditation. Well, apparently nothing to do with Jesus, but still, Jesus was always with me, and like a close friend. So I started initiating people into transcendental meditation. You remember from the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, yeah?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Clint Eastwood has been many, and the Beatles, and Maya Farrow, and many other people have been his disciples at that time. And well, after transcendental meditation, I was traveling in California, and I heard the name Satya Sai Baba. And that blew my mind, and I started asking questions, and the guy told me, well, here I have some information, and you can go to LA, and you will go to this place, to this center. And I discovered who Satya Sai Baba was, and that was really another page, another chapter of my life. And then, okay, I tried to
just a second. So
yeah.
Bernard, just tell us who Satya Sai Baba actually is, so for our listeners to know as well.
I mean, according to what I believe, what I feel, Sai Baba is a very, very advanced spiritual master. I mean, he's an avatar. I hope our listeners understand more or less what an avatar is. An avatar is God incarnated. So there has been many more avatars before him, and there's been other avatars at the same time when Sai Baba was living, and there will be more avatars in the future. But Sai Baba has been very famous because there were millions of disciples, millions of people flocking to India. I've been to his ashram in India, and he would perform miracles in front of people's eyes. I mean, without any doubt that those feats were totally miraculous. And he would heal people. He would, I mean, there's tons of books about Sai Baba. So that really transformed my life. I mean, not Sai Baba himself, but his teachings, what he would convey in his talks and etc. And then someday I was in India in his ashram, in Sai Baba's ashram, and I joined a group of people listening to a lady, and that lady was talking about the masters of wisdom. And she was explaining that our planet has been guided and accompanied all through his long evolution by this group of highly advanced people, with the one called Maitreya at their head, the most advanced, the wisest of those masters. And that was another time in my life where I felt like the last piece of the puzzle came into place, you know. I listened to that lady, and it all fit together. And finally I could tell who Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was, who Jesus was, who the Christ is, I mean, who Sai Baba is, etc.
Bernard, as he mentioned, went from finding out about transcendental meditation to visiting Sai Baba, and there hearing about the presence of Maitreya and the spiritual masters. I just want to cut forward rather quickly, Bernard, so that we can talk more about your business philosophy of entrepreneurism. Bernard told me that after finding out about Maitreya, he went to London, England to follow up with the chief spokesman for the emergence of Maitreya, who is a British author, and and esotericist, now deceased, called Benjamin Creme. That's Creme. And he subscribed to the magazine Share-International, which, as I mentioned, is much of our information, the source of much of our information, and Benjamin Creme was chief editor of that magazine. Again, you can find that at www.share-international.org. And then, Bernard, I heard you traveled somewhat in Spain and were a bit frustrated in not being able to tell too many people about the reappearance, so you ended up back in France and founding your company. Is that correct?
Yes, I lived 25 years in Spain, but I was subscribing to the Share-International magazine, reading Benjamin Creme's books, and reading the Alice Bailey's books and everything. But I felt a bit too lonely there. I mean, spiritually lonely. Even if the masters are always with me, of course, and Jesus and Maitreya and all the others. But I wanted to talk to the people about this new passion of mine. Is more than a passion. It's my innermost reality. So I came back to France. I started to give lectures, and lectures about the presence of the masters on this planet and their mission, their work, and their soon to come appearance physically. I mean, they've always been here, but beyond the curtains of reality. Now we will see them. We'll be able to talk to them very soon. I believe this is my deepest belief, and I hope this time will come very soon. I believe the world is ready for that. So I started a company, and I decided very early that I wanted to manage this company along the lines of the teachings given by Maitreya and the masters. And well, personally, money has never been a goal in my life, and I wanted to share as much as I could freely. We even give people products freely if they can't pay for them, you know, and this company is a success. I don't know why. Maybe what we offer is good. Probably, I guess, I suppose. And maybe we are an example of what business will be in the future. I tend to believe that. And well, what else?
Okay, so what is different and innovative about your company, and what ties it to these principles of as you were saying, we've talked many times on this program about Maitreya's priorities and his central message, which is share and save the world. So what's different about your company? What's innovative, and how does it fit in with those principles?
Well, I believe the first idea is not to want to become rich. Money is a tool. Money has become a merchandise, but I believe it should have stayed a tool. Today we rent money, we buy money, we sell money like we would pair of shoes or houses or anything else. Money is a product. And I believe money should come back to this normal status as a tool to exchange goods. And I believe humanity will have to learn this. Now we've become obsessed with becoming rich. I think there's nothing more boring than becoming rich. I mean, most people in America think that becoming rich is the goal of life. I mean, this is so sad. I believe this is very sad to think that becoming rich could be the goal of one's life. The common good should be our goal, and I think this is much more motivating than just money. helping others, helping alleviate suffering, helping people getting out of sickness. I mean, because my company has to do with helping people heal themselves. My book is about fasting. Fasting is the first, the oldest natural method to heal yourself. I mean, animals fast spontaneously, and they haven't read my book so far, I believe. They've never listened to me speaking. Animals just stop eating because hunger doesn't go together with sickness. This is a natural law. You can't be sick and hungry at the same time, unless you're really, really in a bad shape. I mean, you've lost contact with the laws of nature totally. But this is a law of nature. Hunger and sickness don't go together. So my book is about rehabilitating. Is that a right word in English? Fasting.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, as a normal thing, it is much more dangerous to not fast than to fast. Fast is a normal thing that everybody once in a while regularly should just stop eating. 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. If you're in a bad shape, if you have a disease, you should. Fast as long as health doesn't come back. But as a preventary method, also, it's excellent to fast 1 day a week or one week every change of season. So, and this is what we teach in my company. We teach people how to heal themselves without money. And this is what I call les moyens naturels de santé. That we could translate that natural means to health, because I believe health cannot be bought. Health cannot be bought. Health cannot come from outside, only from inside. If you go with the laws of nature, if you learn them and try to apply them in your daily life, the natural results, the spontaneous result, will be a healthy life and a deeply satisfying state of mind, managing your emotion. I mean, a balanced life.
All of this without a huge outlay of money. So that is a very interesting concept, which will be hopeful to many, many people who are listening. So how did you incorporate some of these philosophies into the structure of your company? You were telling me, for example, that there's a very narrow range in the salary grid with your company.
Exactly. I mean, the highest pay is only 2.5 times the lowest pay, which is by all standards extraordinary today.
Absolutely.
And I don't even get money myself because I don't want it. I don't need it. I mean, I have my own story. I don't want more money. So I started this company as a non-profit, first of all. Now we are registered. We couldn't be a non-profit anymore, but we share the profits with the workers. We try to do good things. People in my company, they are paid 13 months a year. They get holiday vouchers, they get restaurant vouchers, and they get a share of the profits at the end of the year, etc., etc. They are very happy to work with in my company.
Do you see these the effects on their health and their own well-being and psychological welfare? You probably don't have people that quit very often. Low turnover,
really,
I guess.
That's right. They are happy to work here, and I don't mean all of them agree with my message, But with time, working in the company, they start reading what I write, listening to my talks, my videos, and well, of course, they have to. Little by little, they understand what I convey, my message, and they start to put it into practice, and maybe they would stop smoking or change their ways a little bit, and experience, of course, that this is the highway to health. Really, not harming your body. Maitreya said. In a wonderful little message, let's see if I have it here. He said, one of the easiest ways to know me is to be honest in your mind, sincere in your spirit, and feed your body with right food and practice detachment.
If you are interested, if you're new to the program and intrigued by what you are hearing about these principles and teachings of Maitreya, the emergent story of Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, we invite you to visit the website www.share, as in sharing, share-international.org. I once again mention that there you will find a treasure chest of information. There are books there, videos, other resources, and some of those we'll be talking about very shortly with Bernard. Bernard, let's get back to our point from before the break. You were talking about one of the important teachings that's a favorite of yours from Maitreya's teaching. So let's just enumerate them again and talk a bit more about that.
Yes, Maitreya has outlined a number of very simple principles to realize the self. The self-realization, he says, is the result of being honest in your mind, sincere in your spirit, and practicing detachment. But I have a text where he adds, it's actually on the Share-International.org website, where he adds, feeding your body with right food. And we could say, feeding your mental body with the right food, your emotional body with the right food. The physical body, the mind, and the astral body, the body of the emotions, are vehicles through which we express, we live, we go through experiences, and we grow because we draw lessons from those experiences, and lesson after lesson we grow in wisdom and love. So we have to take care of those tools, of those vehicles, the physical body, the mental body, and the emotional body. This is what it's all about.
Sorry, what do you think that Maitreya means by the right food?
Well, the right food, first of all, of course, is... so now we get into details, of course. The right food for me... how should I put it? In my talks, I tell people, if you want to get healthy, stop buying food products. Buy foods. Food grows on trees, on the land, and food products grow in factories. You see the difference? Very simple, very simple. So if you go buy things like God has created them, has made them. Today you buy foods, they are packaged, they are in bottles, in cans, they are pasteurized, they are sterilized, they come under plastic, under all sorts of packaging. Well, these are just foodstuffs. The food that is given by our Creator for us to use looks like food. I mean, it's the carrots, the tomatoes, and fruit, and I am lucky personally, but most of us have access to food. I am lucky because I have fruit trees in my garden. I live in a rural area where I can go buy my vegetables directly from the producer. I believe the food that was designed for us can be called living foods. That is, as much raw as possible in their pristine state, as just the way it's grown, either on the land or under the soil, like carrots, for instance, or on the trees, and as less transformed as possible. So in French we have the three V's. V. Let's see if we can do that in English. Vegetable, yeah, the same. V. Végétarien. The second V is varied, varié, of course, and the third V wouldn't apply here because in French we say vivant, which would be alive, living food. Vegetarian diet, varied diet, and living food. Do not cook your food. I mean, we overcook everything now. And when you cook food, there's no more vitamins, there's no more energy, prana, there's hardly anything left in your food when you cook it. So that's one point, but it is not all. The body is only one of the vehicles for our soul to express itself and to grow incarnation after incarnation. So the physical body is just as important as the mental body and the emotional body. No more, but maybe no less, because we do so much harm to our physical body today that there is a lot of room for improvement. And Maitreya has shown us the way. Even the master Jwalkul, in one of the Alice Bailey's books, said about 50 or 60 years ago, humanity nowadays is eating about 4 times much more than what would be necessary. 4 times too much. That's a lot. Really, when you start fasting, you realize that your body needs so little. I mean, I've been eating once a day for the last 45 years of my life.
Wow.
Today, for instance, I had a tennis game in a tournament. I won. It was very hot. I hadn't taken any food since yesterday. Today, now in France, it's 10 o'clock at night, 10 p.m., 10:30 now, and I haven't eaten since yesterday nor drunk anything. And I feel full of, and I had this tournament, tennis game in the afternoon, and I am full of energy, I tell you. And this is when people start skipping breakfast, for instance. I tell them, please, first thing to do, forget about breakfast. And people come back to me and they say, oh my, this is such a discovery, because since I stopped having breakfast, I don't feel sleepy at 11 o'clock in the morning. And you see, you don't have energy when you eat. You have energy when you've eaten and when you've taken advantage of the nutrients of the food you've taken. And that's a long time after having had your meal, actually. You see, animals, when they've eaten, they go in a corner and sleep. Babies, when you say, comment dit tété, when they
just breastfed.
When they're breastfed, right. Oh, they fell asleep. They have the breast in their mouth, and they fall asleep, because when we eat after, nature is sending us a clear message that we should rest. Animals, babies do that. They sleep after meals. And we would like to go working, and we would like to send our children to school after partaking a huge breakfast in the morning. That's nonsense. That's really one of the roots of disease today. We eat too much, we eat too often, and we eat the wrong stuff. So once a day is a fantastic rhythm. I've been doing that for the last 45 years, and I encourage our listeners to just try it out, and they will see that it is already it's plenty of food once a day in the evening when I've done everything else, and when my mind is rested, when I am quiet, I have my food in the evening.
That's a very interesting concept to most of our listeners, I'm sure. And yet, Bernard, you say that the goal of life is not to be healthy or to live a long life or anything like that, but really to know who and what we are. Let's talk about that.
Yes. And the masters are giving us, they have been giving us for the last century. Well, it all started with Elena Blavatsky at the end of the 19th century, and then came all the books from by Alice Bailey, Elena Roerich, and nowadays we have this fantastic gift of books written by Benjamin Creme. I'd say they are more actual, in a more modern language, and much more accessible than all the previous books I mentioned. And this among those books, there is a little one. I don't know how much it costs in the United States or in North America, but here it costs €2. That's about $2, and that is an amazing summary of all the basic concepts about life. Who are we? Where are we coming from? Where are we heading to? Why? When? What is life? What is evolution? What is death? What is karma? I mean, how can we live a life, a deeply fulfilled life, if we haven't started to know about ourselves? Know yourself, and you will know the universe and the gods. Huh?
Let me just say that this book, The Ageless Wisdom Teaching, is available for free on the website www.share-international.org. You go to the book section there. You will find all of Mr. Creme's 16 books. All of them are magnificent. They are just a treasure trove of information. But this little booklet, if you are new to your interest in psychology, in philosophy, in the ageless wisdom teachings themselves, this little book is priceless, and you can have it free on www.share-international.org. Bernard had mentioned that the Master Dwal Kul, who is the Tibetan master, one of the great perfected masters of wisdom, who is working very closely with the Lord Maitreya, dictated a series of books to Alice Bailey in about the 1920s through to the late 1940s. And there is very interesting information in those books. So that's something you may want to look at. Many of you will have heard of Elena Blavatsky, who was one of the first people to bring into modern parlance these ageless wisdom teachings, which have been being handed down from generation to generation for aeons, usually by oral tradition. But because of the quickening advancement of humanity in the last 100 years or so, the delivery of these teachings has been, first of all, accelerated and made much more broad through these three great exponents of the ageless wisdom teachings. So from a relatively guarded few esotericists who understood parts of the plan or for humanity, or the actual concept of evolution, the laws of rebirth and reincarnation, the laws of cause and effect. More and more people are coming into contact with information on these topics, which are so beautifully and so briefly covered in this little booklet called the Ageless Wisdom Teachings. You have a summary there on Alice Bailey, on Helena Blavatsky, Alice Bailey, and as the third grade exponent, Benjamin Creme, plus all of these wonderful titles that Bernard mentioned. So that is one very great tool at your disposal, a fascinating life study, actually. Bernard, you were talking about the goal of life not to be healthy or live long, but really to know who and what we are. Could you please introduce to our listeners the prayer for the new age?
Oh, yes, that's a big responsibility, Diana. It is an amazing prayer that Maitreya has given us, or given the world, not so long ago. I wouldn't say. Do you know when he's come out with that prayer? Maybe 10 years ago, 20, I don't know. And
yeah, something like that. It's fairly new.
Fairly new, and it's a type of new prayer where we don't only beg. I mean, most people when they pray, they beg for something. They pray for love, they pray for money, they pray for a job, they pray for something. Whereas in the prayer from the New Age, it helps us to identify with the Godhead, because this is actually what we are. We are sparks of the divine. Like a drop of water is an individualization of the great sea or the great ocean, you see. So we are spark of the divine, and we have just forgotten our source. And the goal of life is to come back to this realization, to come back to the source, but enriched with all the experiences we will have done in this very, very long journey of our, many incarnations. Evolution, right.
Right. If we have time, it's fairly short. If we have time, I will recite it just as the program ends so that people can leave on that energy. But the point is that it is said that if this prayer, this invocation, not a begging, but an invocation, a drawing to us, an understanding of the concepts involved, if this prayer is said seriously every day, it is said that there will grow inside of us a realization of our true self. And this prayer, this invocation, has been specifically formulated for this new age, which is why it is called a prayer for the new age. This prayer is at the very end of this little booklet, the Ageless Wisdom Teachings, which is available free of charge. So you're more than welcome to check that out as a tool of self-conscious awareness to grow with. And, of course, we can't leave the program without mentioning transmission meditation as another tool of growth and service, Bernard. So I wanted to just make a quick mention of that. Transmission meditation is another activity that is being introduced now at the beginning of the New Age by the Masters of Wisdom. It was given to Benjamin Creme in the early 1970s. It's a group meditation because the age of Aquarius now dawning is an age of group consciousness, also now dawning. So this transmission meditation is done in groups. It is extremely powerful. It requires no particular expertise or belief system or anything like that. Through transmission meditation, we get to work directly with the Masters of Wisdom to help create in this world a pool of energy which they can then direct. The masters can then direct to any highly scientifically decided area that they would like to boost at that time. So it may, of course, go into trying to alleviate world tension, but it can also go into great discoveries in science, medicine, education, etc. They know exactly where to direct these energies, but they offer us the opportunities to help step them down into the world. We have done shows on transmission before. In fact, one of my guests, Krista Paris, calls transmission meditation a gift from the gods. So as well as the prayer for the New Age, transmission is a very, very worthwhile thing to consult. Bernard, do you have some last words from our listeners, some last advice?
Yes. Meditation is extremely important. Of course, it's a way to get in touch with our soul again. But I would like to emphasize service as a maybe equally important way to grow. And Sai Baba has put it in an amazing way when he said, "Hands that help are holier than lips that pray." Of course, we've seen that prayer is important. But when Sai Baba says that, he really, and Maitreya has emphasized a lot, service. So I would like to encourage our listeners to find their line of service, their own line of service. We all have a field of activity where we feel that we are doing good to the world, and that helps us grow. It's very rewarding to help other, and service for me is a base, one of the basic, one of the fundamentals of evolution.
Yes, of course, Maitreya has said, "Take your brother's need as the measure for your action, and save the world." It is central to his teaching. In fact, it's also central to the New Age. Mr. Krem has said so many times in his literature that in the New Age, it is no longer an age where you retire to a cloister and pray in silence behind cloister walls for all of your life. The need for that energy that is collected, that is drawn in through the process of meditation, needs to then flow out into the world in the form of service, so that there is, as you talk about, a healthy balance. Bernard, would you say?
Oh yes.
In human health.
Right. We all have to find a balance and learn about the laws of nature. Reading the books by the Alice Bailey and Benjamin Krem, trying to apply them in our daily lives. Be true to yourself. Honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit. Respect your body. Feeding it good food, natural food, living food. And same with your mind. Feed your mind the best food, and happiness and good life and health will be the spontaneous result of that.
So then, as Gandhi said, being the change that we want to see in the world is actually one way to accomplish that. And we have those keys in meditation and service. Bernard, it's been wonderful having you today, and we thank you very, very much for being our guest.
And here is a prayer for the New Age. I am the creator of the universe. I am the father and mother of the universe. Everything comes from me. Everything shall return to me. Mind, spirit, and body are my temples for the self to realize in them my supreme being and becoming. As most of us are aware, our world has arrived at a moment of profound transformation. As millions call for peace and justice, many are seeking ways to help serve the world, and at the same time looking for an effective means of personal spiritual development. Transmission meditation is a way to do both. Introduced in 1974 by a master of spiritual wisdom, transmission is a group meditation that makes available the benevolent energies pouring into the planet in an ever-mounting rhythm and potency. Transmission groups worldwide receive and transform these energies sent by a group of extraordinary teachers, the Masters of Wisdom, led by Maitreya, the World Teacher. Thus stepped down, these energies can be used in the betterment of all life on Earth. This meditation also has a salutary effect on the individual participating in the meditation. It is safe, scientific, non-denominational, and will not interfere with any other religious or spiritual practice. In fact, it will just enhance them. So it's for the religious and non-religious alike. So now, just focus your attention at the chakra center between the eyebrows, called the Ajna center, which is the center of the will. And let's read together the great invocation and meditate as long as you wish, holding your attention there when it drifts away by thinking Om silently, inwardly. The great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth.